Good morning, second grade. I hope you're having a good Tuesday so far. Before we begin our math lesson for today, I want to start by praying. Okay, so let's close our eyes and bow our heads. Lord, thank you for this day that you've given us. Thank you for this new day that we can come to you and learn all these new things. Lord, we ask that you help us, Lord, as we are learning a different way this week. Lord, I ask that you help give us wisdom, Lord, and give us peace in our hearts to not be worried or scared about anything. Instead, just find this new way for this week as an exciting adventure, Lord. Let every student be able to see these videos, let them be able to understand the material, and let's try our best, Lord. In Jesus' precious name we pray, amen. Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and begin. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause it so you can go and get your math books. Okay, so get your math books and open up to page 760. 760. Okay, so if you need to pause the video, pause it now so you can go get your math books and open up to page 760. Okay, so hopefully you already have your math books in front of you. You're open to page 760, 760, okay, because we're going to start lesson 11.10. Okay, guys, so before we begin 11.10, I'm going to, again, do a review just like we did yesterday. Okay, I want to review our shapes because I know that some of us are still a little confused, and that's okay. And even if you're not, it's still good to always review the things that we've done so far. So, remember, this is a sphere, okay? A sphere has no faces, okay, because it has no flat surfaces, it has no edges, and it has no vertices, okay? Our next one is a cylinder, okay? Our cylinder has two faces. Okay, it has two edges, right, where you see these lines, okay, and it does not have any vertices, because the vertices are those sharp points, right, and it doesn't have any of those sharp points. Next, we have our cone, okay, our cone, remember, our cone thing helps us, what does it remind us of, right? Hopefully you're saying ice cream. So our cone, okay, has one face in the bottom, it has our edge right over here, and it has a vertice. Okay, just one. Then we go to our rectangular prism. Okay, and our rectangular prism and our cube are very, very similar. Okay, that's why you see that they're both the same color. They're very, very similar. Both of these have the same amount of faces, the same amount of edges, and the same amount of vertices. Okay, so remember that the edges are these lines that we see here. Okay, these are the vertices, these points. Okay, and our faces are all of our flat surfaces. Okay. Remember, when you're counting for the faces, don't move the object around. Put it flat and go count the bottom 1, the top 2, sides 3, 4, and then front and back 5 and 6. Okay? When you're counting the edges, because I know that I'm going to be giving you guys some classwork later on in the week that I want you guys to be very, very careful on, that when you're counting edges, you don't need to use the object, right? Use the actual picture that you have of the object, trace over it. And every time you trace one of those lines, that's what you're going to count. Then for the vertices, okay, you're going to circle those vertices, okay? So that was just a review of things that we've done. Now, yesterday, okay, we're going to start with 11.10. Yesterday, you guys, by the way, I saw everyone's math assignment. You guys all did it correctly. You understood it. Those of you that had some trouble, I messaged you guys and the answers were fixed, so good job, okay? Make sure you always check your work. If you ever get confused, remember you can use the other pages in your math book, so flip back to the other pages so that can help you, okay? So yesterday we were learning, so now we're going to focus on this. Yesterday we were learning how to be able to create equal parts. Remember that equal parts of a whole means that if you have an object, so let's say I have a rectangle. Okay, equal parts mean that it's divided into parts that are all the same size. So if I want to divide it into 4 parts, and I'm going to go this way. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I have my 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. Why is it equal? Because each of these parts are the same size. So when you guys are doing your drawings, please, I saw some of you do this. Some of you, when you're doing your equal parts, you did 1, 2. That's not equal parts. That's not 4 equal parts. That's not fourths. Why? Because yes, this, and this, these are the same size, but then this one is not. So this would not be equal parts. Okay, you guys have to make sure. That's why I tell you guys, do it as neatly as you can so that I can tell that it is equal parts. Okay? Remember, if you guys are answering word problems and it just tells you why is this object thirds? So for example, if I give you this circle, why is this divided into thirds? Why? Because it has 1, 2, 3, but not 3 parts, 3 equal parts. Okay? 3 equal parts. Make sure you know that. Okay? Now, for the y, you guys, that does not work for every shape. I saw some of you, and that's okay. Some of you did a y like this. That is not equal parts because this and this is not the same. These two are the same, but it's not the same with this top one. Okay? So the y only really works for the circle. Okay? So that's just for you to keep that in mind. Okay? Now, for today's lesson, on page 760, okay, it's another step process. So you're going to be, not only are you going to be drawing to show halves, thirds, or fourths, but then you're going to be coloring in. So this is a really fun one. So, for example, at the top it says, there are some ways to show and describe an equal part of a whole. Okay? So the first one says 2 equal parts. So they show you a rectangle divided in halves, but then look what it says. A half of the shape is green. So now you're actually going to shade in one of those parts. So out of halves, you're going to shade in one of those parts. And when you shade in one of those parts, now what you have is a half of. Okay? A half of. I want you to repeat it. I can't hear you, but you're going to repeat it. A half of. Okay? That means this is 2 equal parts. Now, for those of you, I know some of my students already want to do fractions. So, this is the introduction to fractions. When you have a whole, how many equal parts do you have? You have 2. So, in a fraction, you have a number that goes at the top, a number that goes at the bottom. The bottom number is always the amount of equal parts that you have. I have 1, 2 equal parts. Okay, and I know that for you guys it's backwards. So let's see. I'm gonna try my best to write backwards. Okay, 2, and then how many parts? The top number is how many parts are shaded in. That's 1. So this is 1 over 2. Okay, so this is a fraction. Why? What does this mean? It means there are 2 equal parts. And one of those parts is shaded in. 2 equal parts, 1 is shaded in. Okay? And this means half of. Very, very important for you to understand that. Now let's go to the next example, which is a third of. So now it gives you a rectangle. And it has 3 equal parts. Now, only one of those parts are shaded in. Okay? This means a third of, because out of your 1, 2, 3 equal parts, only 1 is shaded in. So this is a third of. Okay? And for those fractions, do the same thing. You do your line. Your number at the bottom is how many equal parts you have. 1, 2, 3. 3 equal parts. How many of those parts are shaded in? Just 1. That's your top number. So this fraction is 1 out of 3. What does that mean? That 1 part out of 3 is shaded in. Or you can say 1 over 3. Okay? This is just for SAT because you may see something like this in SAT. And I just want you guys to know what that means. Okay? So this is a third of. Okay, so a third of the whole, a third of the shape is red. In your book, it's green, but ours is red. Then that last one is a fourth of. We're going to do a fourth of. So that means, okay, that you have your shape. Okay, a fourth of. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I made fourths. But how can I make a fourth of? Okay, so whenever you guys see half of, third of, or fourth of, that means that that's because one of these parts are going to be shaded in. So I'm going to go ahead and shade in. I'm going to shade in this last one. Instead of always doing the first one, I'm going to do the last one for this one. Okay. Well, this is a fourth of. Because out of 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, 4 equal parts, 1 is shaded in. So now, let's do that fraction that I want you guys to do. How many equal parts do I have? I have 4 equal parts. Okay, 4 equal parts. How many of those parts are shaded in? Just that one. There you go. 1 out of 4, or 1 over 4. And this shows a fourth of. Very, very important. So now look what you're going to do. On page 760, it says draw to show thirds. Okay, draw to show thirds. Then color a third of the shape. So look what we're going to do. They did number 1 for you. What I want you to do is you're going to do number 2. Okay, you're going to do number 2, and then I'm going to review it. So what I want you to do is at this point, I want you to pause the video. Okay, pause it. Do number 2. Then when you're ready for me to go over it, press play. Okay? Go ahead. Okay, guys. If you press play, it's because you're ready for me to review it. I'm drawing my square for number 2. And the instructions tell me that I have to draw to show thirds. And then I have to color a third of the shape. Remember what I tell you. Do the instructions one at a time. First, draw to show thirds. Done. Now, color a third of the shape. So that means that I should only color in one part. So that means you're just going to shade in one part. Okay? Like that. So if that's what you did when you did it on your own, then awesome, awesome job. Okay? If not, it's okay. Just try it on the next one. Okay? So this is for number 2. Now, I'm going to take it one step further. If I wanted to do my fraction, remember, the number in the bottom is always the total amount of equal parts you have. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 equal parts. How many of those parts are shaded in? Just 1. 1 over 3 is your answer. Oh, and let me reverse this one for you guys. Hold on. I'm sorry. Practicing writing backwards here. Okay? Perfect. Now look what you're going to do. Now we're going to skip down to number 5. So we're not doing all of them. You did number 2. Now you're going to skip down to number 5. So number 5 says draw to show fourths. Color a fourth of the shape. Okay? So draw to show fourths. That's the first step. The second step, color a fourth of the shape. And I'm going to add a third step. I want to give you a little challenge. When you're done, in the bottom, okay, right under that circle, go ahead and write down the fraction that represents that picture, okay? Again, pause the video. When you're ready for me to go over it, that you've already done only number 5, you can press play. Go ahead. Okay, guys, so if you press play, that means you're ready for me. Okay, we're going to do number 5. Here's our circle. We have to first draw to show fourths. Okay, so I'm going to do my T, because that's the only way to show fourths in a circle. So I showed my fourths. If you did that, good job. Now, I'm going to color a fourth of the shape. So I'm going to color a fourth of, means I'm coloring only one of those equal parts. Okay, there we go. Now, remember, I wanted to give you that challenge. So I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to make my fraction. Let's see. The number in the bottom always represents the total amount of equal parts you have, which is 4 equal parts. That's why it's divided into fourths. How many? I'm sorry if that's a little messy. I'm writing on the side here. And I have only one shaded in. So it's 1 over 4. That should be your fraction. Okay, so go ahead and check that answer. Okay, hopefully you got it correct. Okay. Now, I want you to go ahead and go to page 762. 762. Okay, 762. And look what I want you to do on page 762. You're going to go to number 17. Okay, so we're not going to do all these problems. I just want you to go to number 17 because remember, I always tell you that that's a test question. Okay, that's the kind of questions you're going to see on your test. It's the think smarter. So we're going to read it together. Draw to show halves, thirds, and fourths. Color a half of, a third of, or a fourth of the shape. Okay? So look what I want you to do. You have, for number 17, you have a circle. Then you have a rectangle. And then you have a square. Okay? You have to draw to show halves, thirds, and fourths. And then you're going to color a half of, a third of, or a fourth of. Okay, so this one is going to be for halves. This one will be for thirds. This one will be for fourths. And then you have to color in a half of, a third of, a fourth of. Okay? Now, I'm going to add that extra step. Underneath, I want you to write the fraction. Okay? So, go ahead and do that on your own. Okay? You're going to do it on your own. Pause the video here. When you're ready, press play so that I can go over it. Okay? Go ahead. Now, if you press play, it's because you're ready for me to go over it. So, first it says in that first one I have to draw to show halves. So I'm just going to do right down the middle like that. Then I have to draw to show thirds. So I'm going to do thirds like this. And remember, I'm trying to make every part equal, guys. So please make sure that you did it neat. If it's not too neat and you want to erase it and do it over. And then for the square, it's fourths. So I'm going to do my T. And notice this is a little messy, so I'm going to fix it. Okay. As neat and straight as possible. Okay? Now, it says color a half of. So color a half of. Okay? Color a third of. I'm going to color my middle one because I know that some of you probably did that. Nice to be creative. And then for this one, a fourth of. Okay, now the next step that I want you guys to do is to take it one step further. And let's do those fractions. Let's see who thinks that they're ready for third grade. Let's see. So I'm going to do for my fractions. Now remember, this is out of 2 equal parts. Okay? How many of those parts are shaded in? 1. So 1 over 2. How many equal parts? We have 3 equal parts. And 1 shaded in. Okay? So notice I always start by writing how many equal parts I have total on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. Okay? How many are shaded in? 1. And this is how you should have done it for number 17. Okay, for number 17. So, back to me. Okay. Now you guys are going to work on your own and you're going to do those homework pages, okay? So, I'm going to write down the assignment and put it on Class Dojo so your parents can have it. But you guys are going to do for math pages 763 and 764. Do those 2 math pages, okay? Because I want you guys to make sure that you're understanding this, and I also want you to do a review, okay, since we haven't been able to review in class. Also, parents, and students, I will be adding a quick Bible and language arts assignment for today, okay? So I will be adding a quick Bible and language arts assignment. For the language arts assignment, it's something I'm going to upload a paper. If you are able to print it at home and have your children fill it out, and then just send me the picture of it through message like yesterday, perfect. If you can't print it, that's okay. If you can have your kids get some paper, whatever paper, lined paper, any kind of paper that they may have, and just have them write 1, the answer, 2, the answer, 3, the answer, and so forth. Just have them write down the answers, and then have them write the title at the top, or you can help them with that, just language arts. I believe it's called language arts review sheet. It's an SAT prep review sheet that I created for them, because since my plan this week was to start little by little reviewing for SAT for language arts, so I was going to send that stuff home. It's a quick review sheet. Just have them write down those answers if you can't print out. If you can print it out, better. If not, it's okay. We understand. So I'm also going to be sending a video for Bible that I want them to look at. Every morning they're going to have their devotional. And I'm going to be sending also the link to a song that we've been learning, and I know that they love to sing, just so that we don't forget to have that Bible time as well. Okay? Any questions? You guys know that you guys can message me. I hope you guys are having not too hard of a time. And again, we appreciate all your help, okay? Please be patient with us as we continue to make this as simple a process as we can, okay? So any questions, message me. Okay? Goodbye.